Here is our ISN check for Density Unit 2. Within your notebook, you should have a title page on page 52. On page 53 is the table of contents for the density unit. Here is located all the labs, notes, and activities that we did in class. On page 54 are your density vocabulary, word list, and flashcards in the envelope. All of your words should be located inside of the envelope on page 54. On page 55, you will have a density table of the common substances we see in modern day life. Page 56 is the density reading and note-taking guide. Page 57 is the density What Do You Know?, the quiz we took with the new grade cam. On page 58 were your density notes. These notes we gave and wrote in class. They should be handwritten on the notebook paper on page 58. Page 59, we did not complete the warm-up, so this will be blank up here. And we did have a prompt where you imagined if you had a block of aluminum, what would happen if it was halved. And you explained that no matter how the change of the substance, the density will still stay the same. And across from that are the density of solids on page 60, our lab we did with the density cubes. On page 61 were your notes on slope and density. Page 62, the density of liquid lab. 63 was your picture drawing explaining the displacement method of calculating volume of irregular solid. 64 was your I've lost my marbles lab with all of the information on how to calculate the density of irregular solids, which were marbles. On page 65 was a warm-up from 1022 and the reading questions that went with the swirling seas of plastic trash. And across from here you had 9 sections to choose from in the back here of which questions you wanted to answer, and you picked 3 and answered them on page 65. After the swirling seas of trash on page 67, there was a warm-up and then also our plastics lab we did with density, and then the density in water column lab sheet. This again was the lab we did with the different plastics, looking at the animals that were harmed at the density rate at which plastics either float or sank. On page 69, we have a warm-up. We have our Sear plastic mini notes on the video clip I showed you, and you should tape in the animal strip for your particular animal you used for the plastics lab. And across from that on page 70 is the plastic bag debate, where we have the discussion and the implications of going green in Carlsbad and getting rid of plastic bags, I should suppose. And you have your claims and evidence here. Page 71 is a warm-up from yesterday about talking about densities in plastics. And then you have your density land postcard, the front and back. So do make sure that's colored. Page 72 was the density challenge you did, the lab where I gave you beakers and sand, and you had to figure out how to get it to float right at the exact beaker line and figure out the density of it. And then on page 73 is your density critical thinking problems, and 74, the density study guide. That completes the ISN check and what needs to be in for the density unit.